Hello my dears, this is our first official flipped classroom video. We're going to do chapter 2 in a flipped style, and I'm so excited. I think this is really going to help us learn more than we would get to the traditional way, and I think it's going to be something a little different, and I hope you'll enjoy it. If you could turn to pages 16 and 17 in your workbook, we're going to talk about lesson 2-1, and here is Mr. Mercer to help introduce our I can statement.
Coming from the General Dollar Store in Pikeville, Kentucky, lesson 2-1, I can solve a two-step equation.
Alright, let's get started. Okay, here's our first example. 4p plus 7 equal negative 13. There are a few things from last year that I would like to remind you of. I would appreciate it if you would jot them down somewhere on your notes page at the top or the side or the bottom. The first thing, always work on the side of the variable. Okay, the next thing, equations are formed by doing order of operations, which is PEMDAS. So we are going to do PEMDAS in reverse. Subtraction, addition, division, multiplication, exponents, and parentheses, which we won't have. So we are doing in reverse. The first thing you're going to look for example, is subtraction. And you're always going to do the inverse. And what does inverse mean? Very good. Inverse means the opposite. I know that's exactly what you were thinking. So let's solve. My variable's here. This is my goal. I do not have any subtraction, but I do have some addition. So my first step is going to be to subtract the 7. So I have 4p. My positive 707 are inverses, so they zero out. Negative 13 minus 7 is negative 20. My next and final step of this one-step equation is now to inverse, which is divide by 4. P equal a negative divided by a positive is a negative, and 4 goes into 20 5 times. So my answer is P equals negative 5. And don't forget, you can always substitute to see if this really is a true statement, and it is. Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20, plus 7 is negative 13. Let's look at another. Here's our next example, quick check 1. I follow the same steps we just talked about and you talked about last year. We are going to draw our river, because what I do to one side I have to do to the other. I'm looking for subtraction and I have none, so then I'm looking for addition. I'm going to change that positive to a negative, and what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. 4g comes down. Here's my inverse pair. They're going to zero out. Now I have two negatives. Do I add those or do I subtract them? Very good. Same sign I add. So I have negative 34.8. My final step is to divide. And my final answer is going to be y equals negative 8.7. Great job. Let's look at another. Okay, on this one we have a word problem. 6 people at dinner shared equally a total bill of $180. This total included a tip of 30. Which equation could be used to find the amount each person share for dinner was without the tip? This without is very important. So they're not talking about $180. They're actually talking about $150. They're talking about before the tip was added. Now, our notes page is really good to give you like the words and equations, sometimes that's great and sometimes it's a little more confusing. I want to examine the answer choices. Let's look at A. A is missing something. If you look very carefully at the things given to you up here, 6 people and $30, what is missing from A? You're right, the $30 is missing, so A is incorrect. If we look at B, is B correct? No, you're right. B is not correct because if we look at this 30, they're subtracting. Well, that's like taking money off their bill. So that is also incorrect. If we started to solve this one, we would get 6s equals 210. So that's more than they paid. Let's look at C. Is C correct? Yes, you're right. C is correct. C shows where we have 6 people splitting and our $30 tip, and our total is correct. Let's go ahead and look at D. What's incorrect about D? You're right. D uses the distributed property. 6 times 30, which will be the amount for the tip, is 180. So that is too much. Now, if you feel like the middle could help you, that's great. If you would rather just solve the equation, that's fine too. I'm going to solve mine. 6s plus 30 equals 180. So on the side of the variable, the first thing I'm going to do is subtract. 6s equals 150. Divide by 6. And I get S is 25. So each person paid $25 for dinner, and then they tipped their waitress $30. Okay, go.
Hey, are you paying attention?
All right, we're almost done. Just stay with me, please. We have 2 more examples. If you just want to add these somewhere in the white space, that'd be great. These 2 examples use division instead of multiplication, but it's still the same concept and the same steps each time. So please pause the video, see if you can work them out on your own, and then come back. Like in all my other problems, I'm going to start by creating my river. I do have subtraction. That's my first step. So the inverses to addition. X over 3. Here's my inverse pair. I'm going to cancel. Negative 12 plus 8 is negative 4. You subtract for different signs. And my final step is to multiply by 3. So I get X equals negative 12. On this one, it's written backwards. The variable's on the right side instead of the left. That doesn't change anything. My same steps apply. There's no subtraction, but there is some addition. So the opposite or inverse of addition is to subtract. Minus 6.5 minus 6.5. 1.9 equals y over 0.6, and I'm going to multiply by 0.6. So my final answer is going to be 1.14 equals y. Good try. Good job. Alright, for tomorrow, I'm leaving you with 4 practice problems as your homework. We're going to check them in class right after our problem of the day, numbers 1, 4, 7, and 10. And you do have to show your steps in order to get your credit. So please don't skip. Make sure you show me your steps so that if there's something that maybe you're a little confused on, I can help you. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye.